Welcome to the deep dive. Let's jump right in. Have you ever looked at booking a trip maybe to Ireland and just thought, wow, those prices are eye-watering, but you still kind of wanted to go?
Oh, definitely. That feeling is exactly what we're unpacking today.
Yeah, we're exploring why hotels and holiday spots in Ireland are seeing really strong demand, even with some pretty hefty price hikes. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding a really interesting economic thing happening in travel right now.
Exactly. We've been looking closely at a report analyzing what's called price elasticity of demand,
Hmm.
specifically in the Irish hospitality sector, as things stand around April 2025. So our mission really is to figure out this resilience. Why are people still clicking book when costs have climbed? And, what does it tell us?
Okay, so price elasticity of demand sounds a bit academic, maybe. Let's break it down. Super simple.
Yeah.
It's just how much we want something changes when its price changes.
Right.
That's the core idea. Like, imagine your favorite coffee place suddenly charges double.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I might think twice. Or make coffee at home. Exactly. That suggests your demand for that specific coffee is pretty sensitive to price. It's elastic. And economists have a formula for this. It's basically the percent change in quantity demanded.
How much people buy.
Right. Divided by the percent change in price. Gives you a number. PED. Price elasticity of demand.
Okay. And that number tells us elastic or inelastic?
You got it. If the number is bigger than 1, technically, the absolute value demand is elastic. Price goes up a bit, demand drops quite a lot.
Like my expensive coffee example.
Precisely. But if that PED number is less than 1, say 0.5, then demand is inelastic. Meaning even if the price goes up, the demand doesn't fall off a cliff. It stays relatively strong.
Ah, okay. And that's what we're seeing with Irish hotels and rentals.
That seems to be the picture, yeah. Despite these price increases we hear about, booking numbers are holding up surprisingly well. People are, well, still booking, which points to inelastic demand.
So these price jumps in Ireland, we keep hearing about them. Can you give us a sense of scale? Like, how much more are we actually talking?
Yeah, sure. The report and other industry data from around now, April 2025, it suggests average room rates, say in Dublin, Galway, Cork,
Yeah.
they've jumped by something like 15 to 20%
Annually.
since 2022.
Annually. Wow. Okay, that's a lot over just a few years.
It really adds up.
And it's not only traditional hotels, is it? You mentioned things like Airbnb earlier.
No, exactly. We're seeing similar, upward trends for holiday homes, apartments on those platforms too. And what's really striking is even with these higher costs, occupancy rates are staying pretty strong,
Yeah.
especially peak season,
Yep.
summer, bank holidays.
Right.
Phil Ireland, the tourism body, they reported over 10 million visitors back in 2024. And it looks like a lot of them were, well, willing to pay these higher accommodation costs.
It's interesting. Is it just international visitors, or are people within Ireland also facing this when they plan a staycation? I feel like I've heard gripes from friends there.
That's a really important point. Domestic travelers are still booking too.
Yeah.
So the desire for that Irish getaway is still strong, even locally. But yeah, you absolutely hear the frustration about costs. You see it online in the local papers.
Yeah.
It's definitely a topic.
Okay, so this leads us to the big question, doesn't it? Why?
Wow.
Why is demand seemingly so stubborn, so inelastic right now? Why are people still paying?
Well, it seems to be a combination of factors, really, not just one thing.
Okay.
One big one is probably the limited substitutes. Think about it. If you really want to drive the wild Atlantic way or, I don't know, go to a specific festival in Galway,
Yeah.
there aren't many easy direct replacements, are there? You can't just say, oh, instead of the Ring of Kerry, I'll just do a slightly similar coastal drive somewhere totally different. It doesn't quite work.
Right. If you want that specific Irish experience, the landscape, the culture, you kind of have to go to Ireland. It's unique.
Exactly. People often have very specific reasons. Maybe it's tracing family roots. Maybe it's a business trip to Dublin. Maybe it's that specific festival. That lack of easy alternatives just makes people less sensitive to price changes for the accommodation there. It's basic economics. Fewer substitutes often means, well, lower elasticity.
Makes sense. Okay, what else? The report mentioned necessity and timing. How does that fit in?
Yeah, this is crucial, especially when travel is tied to something specific, like a family wedding. You have to be there on that date in that place.
Right, non-negotiable.
Or a big conference. Finding a place to stay becomes less of a nice to have and more of a must have. And also, during peak times, summer holidays, big events like the Galway Arts Festival, there are just so many people wanting rooms. Options get limited fast,
So the pressure's on to just book something, even if it costs more.
pretty much. That combination of limited choice and a deadline, it just dampens how much people react to the price. Urgency trumps price sensitivity, often.
Hmm. Okay. And what about brand loyalty and perception? Do people stick with hotels they know or assume higher price means better quality?
Absolutely, that plays a role too. Big hotel chains, well-regarded local places, they build up a reputation over years. People trust them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's definitely often a perception, right or wrong, that a higher price tag means better service, a better location, maybe more luxury.
Mm.
Think of those fancy hotels in central Dublin or coastal resorts down in Kerry. People are willing to pay a premium for that perceived value or just the reliability, the expectation of a certain standard. It's not just the room, it's the whole experience they expect.
So the reputation counts for a lot. Got it.
Then there are the broader economic and psychological
Mhm.
factors. Ireland's economy has been relatively strong post-pandemic, generally speaking. And culturally, travel and holidays are pretty important to people.
So maybe more willingness to spend disposable income on experiences.
That seems to be part of it, yes,
Huh?
both for international visitors and for people within Ireland.
And you mentioned something about sunk cost. How does that psychology work here?
Ah, right. So imagine you've already booked your flights to Ireland, maybe arranged some tours,
Yeah.
told everyone you're going.
Yeah.
You've invested time, money, maybe emotional energy. Then maybe the hotel price creeps up a bit before you book it. The sunk cost idea suggests you're less likely to cancel the whole trip just because of that hotel price increase.
Because you've already committed so much, that in for a penny, in for a pound feeling.
Exactly. That, well, I've come this far feeling.
Mhm.
Plus, tourism research often shows people prioritize the experience itself over pinching every single penny, within reason.
Mhm.
It's that holiday mindset.
Definitely rings true. Okay, and one more factor you touched on, seasonal and regional differences. Does this inelasticity hold true everywhere, all year round?
Good question. It's probably not uniform. While the overall picture suggests inelasticity, you'd expect some variation.
Yeah.
Like during the off-peak season, maybe deep winter, when there are fewer tourists and more rooms available, demand might become a bit more elastic. Travelers might shop around more.
More bargaining power.
Potentially, yeah. But in those peak summer months, or in really popular spots like Dublin or the West Coast hotspots, that's where the inelasticity really bites. There was actually a 2024 study looking at European markets, Ireland included,
Oh, yeah.
and it found exactly that. Reduced price sensitivity during high-demand periods
Yeah.
and in those prime locations. So a rural B&B
Yeah.
in November might face different elasticity than a city center hotel in July.
Okay, that makes sense. So providers, the hotels and rental owners, they must see this, right? This low elasticity basically tells them they can raise prices without losing too many bookings, at least right now.
Absolutely. That's the clear short-term message from the economics of it.
Yeah.
And the report hints that this has led to some pretty, aggressive pricing. Some preliminary industry chatter suggests increases of up to 25% by some providers just in 2025.
25%. Wow. But surely there's a limit, a risk. You can't just keep hiking prices forever, can you? Customers might start to feel ripped off.
Exactly. That's the big long-term risk. Short-term gains, sure. But you risk serious customer dissatisfaction. We're already seeing hints of it, maybe anecdotally in online reviews. Perhaps a slow creep downwards in satisfaction scores on sites like TripAdvisor or Booking.com.
Mhm.
People might pay at this time, especially if the trip is already planned, but they'll remember. And next time, maybe they choose Greece or Portugal or stay home.
So they could price themselves at a future consideration, even if demand feels strong today.
Precisely. If prices go too high too fast, you could hit a tipping point. Demand could become more elastic again. Maybe the economy changes, maybe competitor destinations look much cheaper, maybe new, better value accommodation opens up in Ireland. The report does mention dynamic pricing becoming more common.
Adjusting prices based on real-time demand.
Yeah, using algorithms and data. It's a
Yeah.
way for providers to try and, optimize revenue. But even that needs careful handling to avoid alienating people with sudden massive spikes.
Right. So looking ahead then, wrapping up towards April 2025, what are the main challenges and opportunities here?
Well, the big opportunity is clearly Ireland's enduring appeal. The culture, the scenery, the business links people want to go, that underlying demand is strong.
Okay.
The challenge, though, is managing this pricing situation so Ireland doesn't get a reputation for being just plain unaffordable. That could really alienate certain groups.
Like who?
Younger travelers, maybe families watching their budgets, people who might then look at alternatives, camping, hostels, maybe visiting relatives, or just picking a different country altogether where their money stretches further.
So what's the path forward for providers? Just keep pushing prices cautiously.
That seems risky long term. The report suggests a better strategy might be focusing on value
How so?
by investing in things that justify the higher price. Better amenities, maybe really strong sustainability credentials, which appeal to lots of travelers now, perhaps more flexible booking options, giving people more tangible bang for their buck.
So making the higher price feel more worthwhile.
Exactly. It helps maintain that perception of value, which can support less price-sensitive demand.
And could wider policies help, like government action?
Potentially, yes. Things that increase the overall supply of accommodation could ease price pressure over time. That might mean incentives for building new hotels or guest houses,
Hmm.
or perhaps looking at regulations around short-term lets to ensure a good mix of options.
Okay, so boiling it all down, Ireland's in this fascinating spot. Hotel and rental costs feel high, maybe are high, but people keep booking. Low price elasticity, driven by Ireland's uniqueness, specific travel needs, brand power, even our own psychology once a trip is planned.
That's the core of it. And while providers can leverage that now for higher prices, it's a balancing act. Push too hard, and you risk damaging that vital long-term appeal. Finding that sweet spot between profit and providing a positive, fair experience seems crucial for the future.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Given this whole dynamic, what kinds of creative solutions could actually work? Solutions that let people keep having those amazing Irish experiences, but also tackle the real worries about affordability down the line. Maybe you listening have run into this planning your own trip, or maybe you're in the tourism industry yourself and have ideas. It's definitely something to chew on. How sustainable is this trend, really? And how can Ireland stay both desirable and accessible? Lots to consider. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.